Liz, Marie, Stephen, and others return to Salem for Doug's funeral. Sierra also opens Alice's time capsule. The episode begins with a flashback to Doug in jail, planning to travel to Salem soon he is released. Marlena is at home, reading the news about Doug on her iPad, when she receives a tap at the door. When she opens it, she is surprised to see Liz Chandler standing there, and the two of them embrace. Marlena and Liz catch up. Days. Marlena invites her in and expresses how much Julie will appreciate her returning home for Doug's service. They sat and caught up. Liz says Noelle is doing well and has an excellent job. She also has 2 adult sons. She apologizes for losing touch and says she has missed everyone in town, except Marie Horton. Marlena claims that was a lifetime ago. Liz realizes today is about Doug and recalls how he gave her her big break performing at his club. She recalls Doug offering her the job. Later, Marlena is alone and recalls Doug and Julie assisting her the morning of her wedding. Belle steps in, startling her mother. Marlena is relieved she is here, as her father has been called away on a mission. Marlena informs her that many people have returned home, and Liz Chandler was just here. Marlena wants to know how Sean is doing. Belle does not know. She has been giving him space while working for DiMera in Hong Kong. She wanted to be here to support him even though he is unaware of her presence. They haven't spoken or seen each other in a long time, so she is unsure of the situation. Marlena and Belle. Days. Jennifer tears up as she holds a photo of Doug at the Horton residence. When Lucas appears, she looks through the rest of the family photos. He and Jennifer embrace. Jennifer believes Julie will be pleased to see him since she wants her family around her. Jennifer can't imagine how Julie will feel when she wakes up and Doug isn't beside her. They talk about Doug, and Lucas recalls how he discovered he was a Horton. Doug constantly made him feel included. Back then, he felt like the family's black sheep. Sierra and Sean appear, and everyone embraces each other. Jennifer asks when Hope will arrive. Sean swears she is not. She's with his father, who gripped her hand after she informed him about Doug. They're all hoping it indicates he's waking up. Jennifer knows Julie will understand why Hope is unable to leave Beau right now. Sierra shares images of her children, young Beau and Addie, with her relatives. Sean finds an ancient box on the table, which Lucas tells is a time capsule discovered behind the wall when the home caught fire. Nobody has been able to open it yet, so Sierra tries. They all joke that no one has been able to open it, and they even considered smashing it open, but it would disrespect Alice's memory. Sierra manages to open it, surprising Jennifer, Lucas, and Sean. Sean, Lucas, and Jennifer surprise Days. She slept in her chamber. Julie reaches out for Doug in bed, but he is not present. She awakens and stares at a photo of them on her nightstand. She reminisces about their younger years. Julie dressed and put on her wedding ring. She remembers her and Doug's wedding. Suddenly, she hears someone outside. She glances out the window and sees her brother Stephen. Stephen climbs in through the window, and they joke about how he used to sneak in through the window when they were youngsters, which Alice despised. They embrace, and Julie chastises him for not remaining in touch. Stephen resolves to do better, but he needed to be present for her today. Stephen recalls how Doug bailed him out of a jam when he got in problems with the mob. Julie hopes Stephen isn't returning simply because he's on the run from someone, as her grandson, who works for the FBI, is in town for the memorial. Stephen and Julie discuss Days. Julie informs him about Eli and Lonnie, and Stephen is excited to meet them. Julie worries if he is certain and reminds him of all the turmoil he caused back in the day. She recalls asking Stephen to be her business partner at an antique shop, only for him to sell counterfeits to her customers. Stephen apologizes for hurting her, but he insists he is no longer the same man. He has been altered. He claims to have met a guru in India, and the experience changed his life. Julie believes that everyone, including Doug, can change. Lonnie reads Doug's obituary and tells Eli about his past, including his real name, Brent Douglas. She also learns about his time in prison, where he shared a cell with Bill Horton. Lonnie is also stunned to find that Julie and her mother were previously involved with Doug. She laughs because she believed her family history was weird. Their conversation shifts to Julie's brother, Stephen, who fled Salem to avoid the mob and has never looked back. Marie returns home to Horton Square and looks at her parents' memorial plaque. Maggie turns the corner, sees Marie, and the two embrace. They get down and discuss Doug as well as Julie's situation. Marie thinks about all the Hortons they've lost. Marie returns in daze. Marie and Maggie discuss the past, and Marie laments about her faults with men, particularly Alex and Neil. Alex gave her daughter Jessica, but all she received from Neil was a feud with Liz. Marie explains that thinking about what happened makes her angry with Liz again. She knows she should be letting go of old resentments, and it'd be a lucky day if she never saw Liz again. Liz enters and informs Marie, "Today is not your lucky day." Marie and Maggie discuss days. Outside the church, people begin to congregate for the funeral. Paulina, Abe, Jack, Roman, Steve, and Kayla discuss Doug. Kayla worries who will come home for his memorial. They then recall a Thanksgiving a few years earlier when Doug confronted Marlena, whom the devil had once again possessed. People gathered for Doug's funeral. Days. In a newly shot black and white flashback, a young guy sits in a detention cell reading Doug Williams' memoir. He delivers it to his cellmate, Bill Horton, who is intrigued by what he's reading. Later, the young man is released and instructs Bill to take care of himself. He's speaking, "Look out, world, or should I say Salem, 'cause here I come." Days of Our Lives, Liz, Marie, Stephen, and others return to Salem for Doug's funeral, plus, Sierra opens Alice's time capsule. Salem is a town familiar with its fair share of heartbreak, drama, and nostalgia. This week on Days of Our Lives, fans were treated to an emotional and reflective storyline that brought together both familiar faces and cherished memories. The occasion? The funeral of Doug Williams, a beloved character who has been a staple of Salem's tapestry for decades. As his family and friends gathered to honor his life, the town was reminded of its rich history and the connections that make Salem feel like home. Adding an intriguing twist to the narrative, Sierra Brady opened Alice Horton's time capsule, revealing secrets and treasures from Salem's past. A somber gathering. The episode opened with a gray, rainy morning in Salem, perfectly mirroring the somber mood of its residents. At St. Luke's Church, the pews quickly filled with familiar faces, some of whom had not been seen in years. Among the attendees were Liz Chandler, Marie Horton, and Stephen Olson, each making a rare return to Salem to pay their respects to Doug. Liz Chandler, whose soulful voice once captivated Salem's nightlife, stood quietly near the altar, her eyes filled with tears. Despite her absence from Salem in recent years, Liz's connection to the Williams family remains strong. Her speech during the service was heartfelt, recalling Doug's love for music and how he inspired her to follow her own dreams. Marie Horton, a member of the Horton family's second generation, brought an air of grace and dignity to the occasion. Though her life had taken her away from Salem long ago, her bond with her family and the town's legacy was evident. Marie's reflections on Doug highlighted his kindness and unwavering devotion to his family, particularly Julie, his wife and soulmate. Stephen Olson, a once prominent figure in Salem's medical community, shared stories of Doug's resilience and humor. "Doug had a way of making you feel like the most important person in the room," he said, his voice breaking. "He taught us all how to live with joy, even in the face of adversity." The funeral service also brought together other long-lost characters, including Shane Donovan, Kim Brady, and even a surprise appearance by Melissa Horton. Each added their own layer of emotion and nostalgia, reminding viewers of the many lives Doug had touched over the years. Julie's heartfelt goodbye. The most poignant moment of the service came when Julie Williams, Doug's widow, stood to deliver her eulogy. Julie, a character known for her fiery spirit and enduring love for Doug, struggled to find the words to say goodbye. Her voice trembled as she recounted their first meeting, their many adventures, and the love that had sustained them through decades of challenges. "Doug was my heart," she said, her eyes glistening with tears. "He taught me that love isn't about perfection, it's about forgiveness, laughter, and holding on through the storms. I will carry him with me always." The church fell silent as Julie placed a single white rose on Doug's casket, a symbolic gesture of her eternal love for him. The moment was both heartbreaking and cathartic, allowing viewers to grieve alongside the characters. Sierra discovers Alice's time capsule. While the funeral brought a sense of closure, Sierra Brady's discovery of Alice Horton's time capsule added an element of intrigue and celebration of Salem's history. The time capsule, buried decades ago by Alice Horton, was a treasure trove of mementos and letters from Salem's past. Sierra, who had been struggling with her own grief over losing her grandfather, found solace in uncovering the capsule. Surrounded by her family, including Ben Weston and her mother, Hope Brady, she opened the rusted container and began to unpack its contents. Inside were items that held deep significance to the residents of Salem. A letter from Alice to her family, expressing her hopes and dreams for their future. A photograph of Tom and Alice Horton, a reminder of the love that started the Horton legacy. A small music box that once belonged to Julie, bringing tears to her eyes as she recognized it. A set of keys to Doug's place, symbolizing the nightclub that had been a cornerstone of Doug and Julie's life together. The discovery of the time capsule became a celebration of Salem's enduring spirit. For Sierra, it was a reminder of the strength and resilience that her family had always embodied. For the audience, it was a touching tribute to the history of Days of Our Lives and the characters who have made it unforgettable. Family reunions and new beginnings. The funeral and the opening of the time capsule served as a catalyst for emotional reunions and new beginnings. Characters who had been estranged or distant found themselves reconnecting, drawn together by their shared love for Doug and their memories of Salem. Liz and Marie shared a quiet moment together, reminiscing about their younger years and the ways Salem had shaped their lives. Stephen Olson reconnected with Caleb Brady, sparking curiosity about whether his return to Salem might become more permanent. Even Shane Donovan and Kim Brady, who had faced their own share of trials, found a renewed sense of connection as they supported their friends during this difficult time. Their shared history and love for Salem reminded them of the strength they had found in each other over the years. A tribute to Doug Williams. As the episode came to a close, the residents of Salem gathered at Doug's place, now managed by Julie's grandchildren, to celebrate Doug's life. The room was filled with music, laughter, and the sharing of stories that captured Doug's vibrant spirit. A slideshow of photographs played on a screen, showcasing moments from Doug's life that spanned decades. Julie raised a glass to her late husband, her voice steady with love and pride. "To Doug," she said, "the man who taught us all how to love with our whole hearts. May we honor him by living our lives with the same joy and courage he showed us every day." The room echoed with a chorus of "To Doug" as the characters toasted his memory. The moment was a fitting tribute to a man who had brought so much joy and light to Salem and to the viewers who have followed his journey. Looking ahead. Doug's funeral and the opening of Alice's time capsule marked a turning point for Salem and its residents. While the loss of Doug was deeply felt, the events of the week reminded everyone of the importance of family, love, and remembering those who came before. As the characters returned to their lives, many found themselves inspired to embrace new opportunities and rekindle old relationships. Liz considered returning to Salem permanently, intrigued by the possibility of reigniting her music career. Marie, too, contemplated staying close to her family, drawn by the warmth and connection she had missed. For Sierra, the time capsule became a symbol of hope and continuity. She resolved to create her own time capsule, filled with memories and messages for future generations of Bradys, Hortons, and Kiriakises. Salem's story isn't just about the past, she said. It's about the future we build together. As the episode ended, viewers were left with a sense of closure and anticipation, reminded once again why Days of Our Lives continues to hold a special place in their hearts. Julie's shock. Doug's ghost comforts grieving wife? According to Days of Our Lives spoilers, freshly widowed Julie Williams, Susan Seaforth Hayes, is ready for a shock. Doug Williams, Bill Hayes, is barely in the ground when she meets him. It appears like Ghost Doug or, more likely, Angel Doug pays a heavenly visit to console his heartbroken wife. Days of Our Lives spoilers, from devil to angel? Viewers will recall a few years ago when the devil initially inhabited Doug, when Doug did odd and diabolical things like lock Julie in the restaurant freezer. Doug began behaving abnormally in September 2021, forgetting Tom and Alice's Hortons, McDonald Carey, Francis Reed, names and confusing Roman Brady, Josh Taylor, with John Black, Drake Hodgson. Doug then discussed his memory troubles with Marlena Evans, Deidre Hall. When she asked why he felt he accidentally locked Julie in the freezer, Doug stated that it was not an accident. It was discovered that the devil had possessed Doug shortly after his meeting with Marlena, transformed her into Mardevil, and then spread like a virus from one family member to another. Is it any surprise that Julie's first reaction to seeing Doug is fear that the devil has entered his body, as he did with her late nephew Nick Fallon, Blake Barris? DOL spoilers, Doug's comforting words, but will Julie believe them? The Doug doppelganger ghost whispers consoling words to Julie, attempting to persuade her that he is not Devil Doug, but rather Angel Doug, who is watching over her and the family. It's a brief visit, but he eventually convinces her that the devil did not enter his body. There are no red glowing eyes, only a faint glow. He had not expected to lie down for a lap and wake up in heaven, but he did see his devastated wife and family. He knew he had to seek the celestial forces for permission to visit Julie on Earth, even if it was only for a short time. Julie eventually calms down and understands he's telling the truth, mentioning his grandson's visit to town, but then he vanishes as quickly as he emerged. Is there peace in the midst of grief? Julie finally finds peace in the midst of her anguish after Angel Doug's brief visit, which was his goal and the reason the heavenly higher-ups allowed it. She realizes he was saying see you later rather than goodbye forever. However, she decides to keep the angelic visitation to herself, fearing that her family will think she has gone insane with her grief. Julie doesn't even inform Marlena, despite the fact that Marlena could explain that seeing recently deceased loved ones is a typical part of the grieving process. Mentally, it is a stage of mourning known as denial. Nevertheless, spiritually, it gives the grieving person hope. Julie's shock. Doug's ghost offers comfort to grieving wife? Salem has always been a town where the extraordinary mingles seamlessly with the everyday, but this week, viewers of Days of Our Lives were taken on an emotional journey that defied reality. As Julie Williams grappled with the overwhelming loss of her beloved Doug, a stunning twist added both mystery and comfort to her grief, an otherworldly encounter with Doug's ghost. A widow's heartbreak. Julie Williams has never been a character to shy away from emotion, but Doug's passing brought her to a place of sorrow unlike anything she'd faced before. In the days following the funeral, Julie was a shadow of her former self, wandering through the now empty halls of the Horton house, clutching mementos of her late husband. Photographs, old records, and even Doug's favorite tie became bittersweet reminders of their decades-long love story. Her family, including Hope Brady and Sierra Weston, did their best to comfort her, but Julie's pain ran deep. It feels like I've lost a piece of myself, she confessed to Hope during an emotional scene in the Horton living room. Despite the outpouring of love from her family and friends, Julie's grief seemed insurmountable. A supernatural presence. As the week unfolded, the atmosphere in the Horton house took on an eerie, almost magical quality. One evening, while Julie sat alone in the living room, the lights flickered, and a faint melody filled the air. It was a tune she instantly recognized, Always, the song Doug had often sung to her during their happiest moments. Julie dismissed it as a trick of her mind, but the inexplicable occurrences continued. The scent of Doug's favorite cologne lingered in the room, and a photo of the two of them fell from the mantelpiece without explanation. Finally, in the quiet hours of the night, Julie was startled awake by the sound of Doug's voice calling her name. Disoriented, she ventured downstairs, where she was met with a sight she could scarcely believe, Doug's ghost standing before her, his eyes filled with the same warmth and love she had known for decades. An emotional reunion. Julie, my love, Doug said softly, his voice resonating with both familiarity and an ethereal quality. I couldn't leave without saying goodbye properly. Julie's initial shock gave way to a flood of emotions. Tears streamed down her face as she reached out to touch him, only to find that he was more a presence than a physical being. Doug, is it really you? She whispered, her voice trembling. It's me, he assured her. I'm here to help you find peace, my darling. You're not alone, and you never will be. In a scene that was both heart-wrenching and uplifting, Doug's ghost reminded Julie of the strength she'd always possessed and the love that would forever bind them. He urged her to embrace the memories they had shared and to lean on their family during this difficult time. You have so much more to give, Julie, he said. I'll always be with you, watching over you and our family. But now, you need to keep living. Julie finds comfort. The encounter, though brief, brought a profound sense of comfort to Julie. The next morning, she confided in Hope and Sierra about what had happened. While they were skeptical at first, they couldn't deny the change in Julie's demeanor. She seemed lighter, as if the weight of her grief had been lifted just enough for her to start healing. I know it sounds impossible, Julie said, her eyes shining with a mix of tears and newfound hope. But I felt him. I saw him. And I know he's still with me. The family, while unsure of what to believe, rallied around Julie, offering their love and support. The experience also served as a reminder to everyone of the unbreakable bonds that tie them together, even in the face of loss. A message for the audience. Doug's ghostly appearance was more than just a dramatic twist, it was a poignant reminder of the enduring power of love. For longtime fans of Days of Our Lives, the scene underscored the deep history and emotional resonance of Doug and Julie's relationship. Their story has been one of resilience, passion, and unwavering commitment, and this latest chapter added another layer to their legacy. As Julie begins to navigate her life without Doug, viewers are left with a sense of hope that even in the darkest moments, love can provide comfort and strength. Whether Doug's ghostly visit was real or simply a manifestation of Julie's grief, its impact was undeniable, both for Julie and for the audience. Looking ahead. Julie's encounter with Doug's ghost marks a turning point in her journey of healing. While the loss of her husband is a wound that will take time to heal, the reassurance of his presence has given her the courage to move forward. In the episodes to come, fans can expect to see Julie drawing closer to her family and perhaps even finding new ways to honor Doug's memory. As for the supernatural element, Salem has always been a town where anything is possible. Could Doug's ghost make another appearance? Or will his message of love and resilience carry Julie through her darkest days? One thing is certain, in Salem, love truly transcends all boundaries, even those between life and death.